Isn't it time to get away, to jump in, to tee up, to get out and explore, to stay in and indulge, to feel the inspiration of wide open spaces? Whenever you're ready for a getaway, Palm Desert is where you'll be able to do it all, safely. Find your happy pace in Palm Desert.
Hello and welcome to Palm Desert Food and Wine Virtual Experience presented by the City of Palm Desert. Tickets are now on sale for Palm Desert Food and Wine 2023 at palmdesertfoodandwine.com. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with Executive Chef Ysaac Ramirez of Four Saints at the Kimpton Rowan in Palm Springs. Isaac has an incredible dish for you and he's sharing his top secret recipe, so we hope that you enjoy. Bon appetit.
This is Ysaac Ramirez, Executive Chef here at the Kimpton Rowan, coming to you live from Four Saints. Today, I'll be going over our signature cornbread recipe here at Four Saints. It's been on our menu since day one, and have no plans of taking it off in the future. So today we're going to go over, it's a very easy recipe, very basic, you can do it at home. Couple of things you will need: mixing bowls, whisk, cast iron. If you don't have a cast iron, you can do Dutch oven. I've seen them in a regular saute pan. I've seen them, whatever you have around that you could cook in, as far as like a saute pan or whatnot. So we'll get started. So first things first, we're going to get all our dry ingredients together. So we have 3 cups of Marsh Hen Mill's cornmeal. So this cornmeal is very special. I get it shipped over here about twice a month from Modesto Island in South Carolina. This grain is very special for the fact that it was almost extinct in the early 2000s. They used this grain during Prohibition for bootlegging, making moonshine and whatnot. And the last bootlegger to live had kept a couple of stalks, I believe, of corn. It was found, it was brought back to a farmer, he kept the seed, and here we are today. Now we have this awesome grain that we're using today. So we'll start with that. Next, we're going to go in about 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 5 teaspoons of sugar, 3.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. So we're gonna get that all in the bowl. We're gonna mix this together. Make sure everything's well incorporated, like so. All right, we'll put this to the side for right now. Next, we're gonna go to our liquids. So we'll start with 2.5 cups of buttermilk. These aside. 4 whole eggs. We actually use organic eggs here at all our restaurants from Chino Farms. We believe in using the best ingredients that we can get from local farms and whatnot. So really emphasize that here at all the restaurants. And then butter. Lots of butter. So we're going to do about 1 cup of butter. So we melt this down. The only thing you have to pay attention to is let it cool down a little bit. You don't want to get it too hot. If you do, that's going to in turn start scrambling your eggs. So you want it to cool down to the point where it's not solidified yet, just enough where it's cooled down. So we're going to whisk these all together. So what I like to do here is I whisk this pretty good till we get this nice pale color. I like to incorporate a lot of air into this as well. To me, that's going to make a more fluffier cornbread and not so dense. And obviously this is very old school, so if you have a mixer at home, you can do this as well. Use that to get that going. All right, once we have that mixed, we're gonna start adding our dry ingredients to our wet. And We slowly want to add this in so we don't get a lot of clumps or whatnot in there. And then we're just gonna go around the bowl. We're gonna mix this for about a good 25, 30 seconds. You wanna make sure this is nice and smooth. There's no lumps in there. Everything's well incorporated. And you will notice this batter start thickening up as the cornmeal starts absorbing all the liquid, and it'll get a little thick on you, but that's okay, that's what we want.
Chef, what's the difference between using buttermilk and regular whole milk?
Flavor for me, and I think the consistency of buttermilk, a little thicker. It's gonna add a little more texture within the cornmeal, or the cornbread, I should say. All right, once we got there, we're gonna go with our cast iron now. So we wanna get a well-seasoned cast iron. I'm gonna put a glove in here because it's gonna get a little messy for a second. So I have just some leftover butter. It's probably around maybe a tablespoon or two. We don't need to use all of it, but we wanna grease this pan really, really, really well. That way your cornbread does not stick to it. And if you want to change it up, I've done it with pork fat, beef fat, any type of fat will do. Obviously with pork and beef fat, you're going to get a lot more flavor. But for today, we're using butter. All right, once we have this well greased up, we want to get our batter. We're going to start pouring it into this. And as you can see, it already gotten thick for just sitting there a short time. Make sure you get all of it out of the bowl. Scrape your bowl very well. All right, once you have everything in there, we're gonna spread this out. Once you have it nice and spread out, nice and even, we're gonna pop this in the oven. We're gonna do 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes. And the way to check this cornbread if it's done, old school method, it's a toothpick method. You're gonna go straight in the toothpick, right in the center. If it pulls out clean, cornbread's done. If you still have some liquid on it, that means it needs to go for a little bit longer. Depending on your oven, you may need to adjust the temperature, but tested this out at home many times. 350 is about the right temp. Okay, so about 20, 25 minutes later, it just came out of the oven. We're gonna check this. So toothpick method, we're gonna put it right down the center. If it comes out clear, we're good to go. So I'm doing a variation of how we plate this at the restaurant. Obviously, we don't serve this size. Maybe some people would eat it, but it might be a little too much. Our version is a little bit smaller. So what I like to do, when you're with your family at home or whatnot, just cut it in like pie slices. So we're just gonna go, just like you would cut a pie, we're gonna go straight down each side, quarter it off. And then we're just gonna start doing slices out of this. So that's about an appropriate slice. I'm gonna do this, let's do it that way, how about that? So here at the restaurant, we have our sorghum syrup with butter, salt, and pecans, toasted pecans. And this is what we use to top our cornbread. So you get a little sweet, savory in there. we have our butter here. This is fermented butter that we get from 123 Farms out in Cherry Valley. Really good farm. Hopefully in the future I plan on working with a little bit more on product and whatnot. So, but for right now we get our oil and butter from them. Coming from the South, we eat a lot of chicken with cornbread. So I wanted to do a play on that. So we get chicken skins. These are dried out chicken skins that we do. We season, we dry them out, and this is where the fried chicken aspect comes into it. And all we do at the restaurant, we just break them over. Wherever they land, they land. And then we have a little dehydrated chive powder to finish. We just sprinkle that like so. And there you go. This is a version of our cornbread here at Four Saints.